Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Bhagavad-gītā. Today we will be studying a very important verse, chapter 10, texts 12 and 13. So, this is spoken by Arjuna, often quoted by Srila Prabhupada as well. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So, Bhagavad-gītā chapter 10, texts 12 and 13. Arjuna uvāca paraṁ brahma paraṁ dhāma pavitraṁ paramam bhavān puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam ādi-devam ajaṁ vibhum āhus tvām ṛṣayaḥ sarve devarṣir nāradas tathā asito devalo vyāsaḥ swayam chaiva bravīṣi me. Arjuna uvāca, Arjuna said, Param, Supreme Brahma, truth, Param, Supreme Dhāma, sustenance, pavitraṁ, pure, paramam, supreme, bhavān, you, puruṣaṁ, personality, śāśvataṁ, eternal, divyam, transcendental, ādi-devam, the original Lord, ajaṁ, unborn, vibhum, greatest, āhus, say, tvām, of you, ṛṣayaḥ, sages, sarve, all, devarṣir, the sage among the demigods, Narada, tathā, also, asita, devalo, devala, vyāsaḥ, swayam, personally, cha, also, eva, certainly, bravishi, you are explaining, me, unto me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Arjuna said, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala and Vyasa confirm this truth about you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. Purport. In these two verses, the Supreme Lord gives a chance to the Mayavadi philosopher, for here it is clear that the Supreme is different from the individual soul. Arjuna, after hearing the essential four verses of Bhagavad-gītā 10:8 to 11 in this chapter, became completely free from all doubts and accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He at once boldly declares, you are Param Brahma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And previously, Krishna stated that he is the originator of everything and everyone. Every demigod and every human being is dependent on him. Men and demigods, out of ignorance, think that they are absolute and independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That ignorance is removed perfectly by the discharge of devotional service. This has already been explained in the previous verse by the Lord. Now, by his grace, Arjuna is accepting him as the supreme truth in concordance with the Vedic injunction. It is not that because Krishna is Arjuna's intimate friend, Arjuna is flattering him by calling him the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth. Whatever Arjuna says in these two verses is confirmed by Vedic literature, confirmed by Vedic truth. Vedic injunctions affirm that only one who takes to devotional service to the Supreme Lord can understand him, whereas others cannot. Each and every word of this verse spoken by Arjuna is confirmed by Vedic injunction. In the Kena Upanishad, it is stated that the Supreme Brahman is the rest for everything. And Krishna has already explained that everything is resting on him. The Mundaka Upanishad confirms that the Supreme Lord, in whom everything is resting, can be realized only by those who engage constantly in thinking of him. This constant thinking of Krishna is smaranam, one of the methods of devotional service. It is only by devotional service to Krishna that one can understand his position and get rid of this material body. In the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is accepted as the purest of the pure. One who understands that Krishna is the purest of the pure can become purified from all sinful activities. One cannot be disinfected from sinful activities unless he surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. Arjuna's acceptance of Krishna as the Supreme Pure complies with the injunctions of Vedic literature. This is also confirmed by great personalities, of whom Narada is the chief. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and one should always meditate upon him and enjoy one's transcendental relationship with him. He is the Supreme Existence. He is free from bodily needs, birth, and death. Not only does Arjuna confirm this, but all the Vedic literatures, the Puranas, and histories. In all Vedic literatures, Krishna is thus described, and the Supreme Lord himself also says in the 4th chapter, quote, "Although I am unborn, I appear on this earth to establish religious principles." Unquote. He is the supreme origin. He has no cause, for he is the cause of all causes, and everything is emanating from him. This perfect knowledge can be had by the grace of the Supreme Lord. Here, Arjuna expresses himself through the grace of Krishna. If we want to understand Bhagavad-gītā, we should accept the statements in these two verses. This is called the parampara system, acceptance of the disciplic succession. Unless one is in the disciplic succession, he cannot understand Bhagavad-gītā. It is not possible by so-called academic education. Unfortunately, despite so much evidence in the Vedic literatures, those proud of their academic education stick to their obstinate conviction that Krishna is an ordinary person. Yeah, Krishna is an ordinary person. So, very, very important verses of the Bhagavad-gītā. Now, many things are to be noted in these two verses. We'll see. Hopefully, we can cover everything. Now, firstly, Arjuna is claiming so many things: param brahma, param dhāma, pavitraṁ, paramam, bhavān, puruṣaṁ, śāśvataṁ, divyam, ādi-devam, ajaṁ, vibhum. There are so many declarations in this verse. And then the next verse is about the evidence. Why am I declaring these things? The evidence is presented in the second verse. Now, the evidence of, in Sanskrit, it is called pramana. So in philosophy, evidence is an epistemic tool. Episteme means epistemology is the study of how knowledge is developed, how knowledge is transmitted, and what is the scope of such knowledge, and how bona fide it is. So all this is epistemology. So now, our epistemology, for example, the scientists, for them, it's about observation and experimentation, theorization and experimentation. So in this way, whatever the senses can afford in their experience, based on that, they will come to certain conclusions. But If we think that that is the only way to understand everything, we are mistaken, because our senses are so limited and therefore they are inadequate to know everything. So, those who think that the only way to know everything is through observation and experimentation, as the modern scientists do, we may call them as scientism, that whole branch of thinking, the school of thought. It may be scientism because they believe that everything is achievable or understandable by sensory perception or by inference. They accept that they do not know everything, but they think that in the future they may be able to uncover everything. So, the belief that that is the only way, or pramana, or evidence, or path of evidence, how to get evidence, is only through these senses and mind and intelligence and the exercise of these faculties, that is actually a material conception. In fact, it proves completely inadequate to understand higher transcendental truths. Now, what is the way then? So we accept Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Um, of course, there are four things. Sometimes it is said six, but according to Bhagavatam, four. Let's see. I think it's because Arjuna claimed something, bold claims he made. So he just cannot say without any quoting any evidence. So that is the way to speak in scientific, I mean, in spiritual circles. We have to be like a lawyer, always quoting evidence. Not only lawyer, even a scientific, for example, a thesis or a dissertation or anything, an authoritative work is always based on evidence. Every single statement is backed up by evidence. That is the perfect way of presentation on any subject, even materially speaking. If you have to do a scholarly presentation on anything, you have to quote evidence. To fool the general people, people may say whatever they want. But when you encounter a scholar, when you encounter an intellectual, even if for a material subject, you have to quote. There are so many scientific papers, there are so many scientific books. Even they quote evidence every time. Even a lawyer quotes like that evidence from the, not only from the law book but also from previous judgments. So he draws conclusions from various places. So here, this is our epistemology, the process of receiving this knowledge. श्रुतिः प्रत्यक्षम् ऐतिह्यम् अनुमानं चतुष्टयम् प्रमाणेष्वनवस्थानाद् विकल्पात् सविरज्यते. From the four types of evidence, Vedic knowledge, direct experience, traditional wisdom, and logical induction, one can understand the temporary insubstantial situation of the material world and thus become detached from the duality of this world. Now it is said that all these four we must use, right? But they're not of the same weightage. And in fact, the three others are to be based on the infallible Shruti or the Vedic evidence. So we have to validate the statements, or rather, we have to see everything through the eyes of the Shastra. So let's read the purport as well. It's not by Srila Prabhupada, the purport, but you will get an idea of the subject. In the Shruti or Vedic literature, it is clearly stated that everything emanates from the Absolute Truth, is maintained by the Absolute Truth, and at the end is conserved within the Absolute Truth. Similarly, by direct experience, we can observe the creation and destruction of great empires, cities, buildings, bodies, and so on. So you see, a good example is given here. So in the Shruti, this is unquestionable truth. Shruti, we cannot question because it's always right. Even if our experience kind of goes contradictory to what is explained in the Shruti, it is a product of our sensory deficiency that we cannot see it as the Shrutis describe it. Now, the so-called psychologists or the not psychologists, yeah, psychologists and also philosophers, they will call it cognitive dissonance, where you would reject what you're seeing and accept something on belief what you cannot see, that is contrary to what you're seeing. So that may be true in a materialistic sense, but when we're talking about truths that are way beyond our perceptory levels, we have to accept higher evidence. And it is not just hearsay. When it is hearsay, when somebody is saying something and I blindly believe that, that may be called cognitive dissonance. But if the other person is extremely qualified, then I have to accept the other person. For example, we do this even in our daily life. For example, a person may look normal, but when he goes to the doctor says, "Oh, you have this and that, this and that." I believe the doctor. Now, I am not an expert in what the tests show or what the subject is and what the symptoms are. I am believing what the doctor is saying. So, I mean, it's rough. I mean, it's a crude example, but this is how we accept. When we are not qualified enough, we have to accept the words of the qualified people. And especially so with Vedic literature, with spiritual subject matters, we have to accept the word of the Lord. And the great sages who have become perfect by devotional service to the Lord. So both of these are infallible evidences. In fact, in Vedic circles, they used to be, if you say anything, you have to quote it from the Vedas or from the previous acharyas. You have to do that. Otherwise, your statement has no basis in fact. So now, here it is said, in the Shruti, in the purport you said, you see, Vedic literature, it is clearly stated that everything emanates from the Absolute Truth, maintained by the Absolute Truth, and the end it is conserved within the Absolute Truth. So this is the Shruti statement. Now we do not know how the universe was created, how is it being maintained, and how it will be destroyed. We have no idea. So we have to accept this on Shruti. But we can see a miniature version of this in our daily life, which is pratyaksha. So here it is said, similarly, by direct experience, this direct experience is pratyaksha, one of the four epistemic tools or sources of knowledge. Direct experience is also a source of knowledge. For general day-to-day truths, it may serve as a good evidence point. But for higher truths where our senses will fail, it's not so good of a epistemic tool or a tool to acquire knowledge. Now, but we can see one thing. When the Shruti says that, this is the case, that everything is created and maintained and destroyed and conserved within the absolute truth. Now we can see on our daily level, by direct experience, we can observe the creation and destruction of great empires. We have studied history. So empires came and gone and went away. So there was a creation, there was a destruction, and still it is being maintained after destruction. And then cities, creation and destruction of cities, buildings, bodies, and so on. So furthermore, we find all around the world traditional wisdom warning people that things in this world cannot last. Okay. So finally, by logical induction, we can easily conclude that nothing in this world is permanent. Material sense gratification up to the highest possible living standard found in the heavenly planets or down to the lowest conditions in the most repugnant precincts of hell is always unsteady and prone to collapse at any moment. One should therefore develop vairagya, detachment, as stated here. So all of them, now we do not know what is going on in the cosmic scale, macro scale. We may know at our levels, but we see the same pattern at a smaller time scale, smaller, scale of phenomenon. But the same thing is consistent. Okay? Another meaning of this verse is that the four types of evidence cited here are often mutually contradictory in their description of the highest truth. One should therefore be detached from the duality of mundane evidence including the portions of the Vedas that deal with the material world. Instead, one should accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the actual authority. Both in the Bhagavad-gītā and here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna is personally speaking, and thus there is no need to enter into the bewildering network of competing systems of mundane logic. One can directly hear from the Absolute Truth himself and immediately acquire perfect knowledge. One thereby becomes detached from inferior systems of knowledge, which cause one to hover on the material mental platform. This is important. See, even in philosophy also, it is the nyaya or the logic. In philosophy, there's a branch called logic. So in philosophical logic, it's all about, okay, if you claim this, then you have to prove it. That means you have to prove that the alternatives are wrong, and then you get to prove this one is true. So in that way, things are debated. But we should understand that we have only so much intellectual capacity or only so much mental capacity. We cannot even conceive of things that are beyond our intellect. So when the Supreme Lord is speaking, we are not to debate that. First principle. So how much are we qualified? We are not qualified. But He is the creator. One thing is, there is a creator. Nothing happens without out of accident. Nothing happens like that. If I say it is accident, that means I'm a fool. I do not know how it happens, and therefore, to cover up my ignorance and make it sound like it's knowledge, I will give it a word and say it's accident. Big Bang and all these things are not accidents. Anything, whatever they say is a source of creation, it's not an accident. And whatever is going on even here, it's not an accident. And how everything will be destroyed is not an accident. It's perfectly within the complete plan of the Lord. There's not one thing that is happening without the plan of the Lord. Having said that, the plan of the Lord is, for example, some people may argue, hey, if everything is happening by the plan of the Lord, then why am I punished? Well, it's like this. To come into the prison is the plan of the criminal because he wanted to do it. He wanted to break the law and he ended up in the prison. Now, in the prison, what happens to him, the whole program of his punishment for how many of years he's going to be there, is laid down by the prison authorities. So his term is, and if he behaves well there, he got a chance to come out faster. And if he's worse, if he's bad out there, then he will be remaining there and he will not come out. So similarly, we have made the plan to come here, and we are still making the plans of how to conduct ourselves. But our situations, based on our previous actions, are awarded or given to us by the arrangement of Maya under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Karmana Daivanetrena. By our activities and by the direction of the Supreme Personality of God, Krishna. So now, these are the systems. Now, Shabda, out of all, Shruti, let's take another place, which is you see, this is that same thing. So this is another one. Let's take it. This is 11:28:18. Jnanam viveko nigamastapascha pratyakshamaitihyamathānumanam ādyantayorasya yadeva kevalam kālascha hetuscha tadeva madhye. Real spiritual knowledge is based on the discrimination of spirit from matter. And it is cultivated by scriptural evidence, austerity, direct perception, reception of the Puranas' historical narrations, and logical inference. The absolute truth, which alone was present before the creation of the universe and which alone will remain after its destruction, is also the time factor and the ultimate cause. Even in the middle stage of this creation's existence, the absolute alone is the actual reality. So again, the same thing is mentioned here. How we are to arrive at these conclusions of Vedic, of truth, and what is the perfect way to know the truth? Because philosophical gymnastics or scientific advancement are very, very poor ways to arrive at these conclusions, which are massive, which are way beyond the purview or domain of these epistemological devices, these sources of knowledge. They're way out of the range. So here we have to receive knowledge from the perfect source, Krishna, through the parampara system. That is also important. Not only from the perfect source, but through the perfect channel. And that is what Arjuna is alluding to when he mentioned this āhus tvām ṛṣayaḥ sarve devarṣir nāradas tathā asito devalo vyāsaḥ svayam chaiva bravishime. You see, I am telling that you are the supreme abode, purest, origin of all the demigods, the greatest, and you're transcendental, eternal. All these things I'm saying on the authority of previous great sages. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasa confirm this truth about you. And now you yourself are declaring it to me. And these are the personalities who wrote extensive Vedic literature. Like Narada Muni, he wrote Narada Bhakti Sutra and many other scriptures, Narada Puran. There are so many things. And of course, Narada Puran was written by Vyasadeva, but the conversations that are there within, all these sages have contributed. Vyasadeva has recorded for our benefit. But if you see even the Bhagavatam written by Vyasadeva, but if you see inside who is speaking, so many, like Shukadeva Goswami, Parikshit Maharaj, Shaunak Rishi, the sages at Naimisharanya, Maitreya, Vidura, Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu, then this Vritrasura, then there is Gajendra, there is so many personalities within. So what Vyasadeva is doing is just compiling the whole thing. So we are indebted to all these authorities who have contributed to this knowledge and sharing their realizations, and through them we can understand. And the absolute truth, the Vedic knowledge is very sweet and the mature fruit of knowledge, Vedic knowledge, nigama kalpataror galitam phalam sukhamukad amrita bravasamnutam. See, pibata bhagavatam rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful. So this is the effect of receiving knowledge from the parampara system. It becomes even more tasteful when it is received from the lips of a pure devotee. And when we say lips, it is not only the lips. His writing is also the same thing. When you are reading his books, it's the same thing. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. So you see, so this is the parampara system. It becomes even more relishable when it is explained by a devotee. Now, āhus tvām ṛṣayaḥ sarve. So this actually, Krishna says that we should always follow our predecessor acharyas. So here, in the 4.2, this is a famous verse of Bhagavad-gītā. एवं परंपरा प्राप्तम इमं राजर्षयो विदुः सकालेनेह महता yogo नष्टः परन्तपा. The supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. So, here what is mentioned is that this knowledge has to be received from the disciplic succession, not only from the Supreme Lord, but also through the channel of disciplic succession. And there is another third component to this, the reception of that knowledge. How we should receive. Yes, it is coming from the proper source, it is coming from the proper channel, but am I the proper receptacle for that knowledge? Am I being the right recipient of such knowledge? What is the mode in which I should receive? When all these three categories meet, then only there is proper transference of knowledge, transmission of knowledge. And what is that? So, first of all, in 4.3, Krishna says one thing. स एवायं मया तेद्य योगः प्रोक्तः पुरातनः भक्तोऽसि मे सखा चेति रहस्यम् एतदुत्तमम्. Right? So here he's saying that very ancient science of a relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So one thing is clear here, that it is only by the Lord's mercy we can understand. And because Arjuna was devotee and friend of Krishna, Krishna was kind enough to reveal to him, just like we reveal our secrets to our friends. Similarly, Krishna, if we want to know about him, the secrets, rahasyam, then we have to become a friend of Krishna. So although we may at the present moment not be able to be a friend of Krishna as Arjuna was, because he was in an intimate relationship. Friend means at least we should accept that Krishna is our friend. I should not be inimical to God. I should be favorably disposed to Krishna. Anukulyasya sankalpa, no, not this one. Anukulyena Krishnanushīlanam bhaktiruttama. Yeah. Anukulyena Krishnanushīlanam. So how I have to be favorably disposed towards Krishna. That is friendly behavior. If I have ill intentions, if I have opposite intentions of what Krishna wants, then I'm not being a friend of Krishna. And I'm not being a devotee. I'm not devoting myself. How much I devote, that much Krishna will reveal to me. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. 4.11. And Brahma Samhita Krishna says to Brahma, what does he say? Yadrishi yadrishi shraddha siddhir bhavati tadrishi. As much as our faith is established towards Krishna, that much we gain our perfection in our advancement in spiritual life. So this is the first criterion. But okay, if I have to be favorably disposed, what does that actually mean? How does that actually look like? So first thing is here 4.15. If you see, Krishna says to Arjuna, "Evam jnatva kritam karma purvairapi mumukshubhihi kuru karmaiva tasmatvam purvaihi purvataram kritam." What is that? All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. What is that? Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vitti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. And all these things in the 4.13, 4.14, Krishna says more things. Varnashram and how he is not under the Varnashram. And he does not have any karma. So he is completely transcendental. If we understand these truths, just as in ancient times, the liberated souls, they understood it. So you have to follow that, how they understood it. Just like Arjuna is quoting, Narada, Asito, Devalo, vyāsaḥ, they all confirm this. So he is corroborating his realization with the statements of expert sages, such as the ones he has quoted. Here the same thing Krishna is saying. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. Following in their footsteps. And they act in this world, these acharyas, great souls sent by Krishna. They come into this world, they have no business in this world, but they come here to teach the rest of the people. And that is also stated, in this 3.20, if you see. कर्मणैव हि संसिद्धिम् आस्थिता जनकादयः लोकसंग्रहमेवापि सम्पश्यन् कर्तुमर्हसि. Kings such as Janaka. Janaka is a great Mahajan, one of the great acharyas, greatest acharyas of the universe. one of the 12 Mahajans of kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Janak Maharaj came to do that. He's already a Mahajan. But he performed his duty so that Loka Sangraham eva pi sampashan kartum arhasi. Loka Sangraham means to educate the people in general of the world, people of the world. So that is the work of the Acharya. He comes here, he teaches by example and by precept. And we have to follow such examples. And okay, ancient times, Narada Muni, Asito, Devalo, Vyāsaḥ, what they did and how they understood, how do we know? We need a guru who is the current link in the sampradaya. This is the famous verse. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninastatvadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So, inquire from him submissively. Pranipatena. You have to surrender to the spiritual master. Humbly inquire. Because it is by the grace. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado. Yasya aprasadan nagati kutopi. When our life, suppose my life is in danger and the only person who can save me is the person in front of me, then I will beg and I'll fall at his feet and do anything to satisfy him so that he will let me free. Of course, that's a crude example. That's that's being held hostage. But a prison. If I'm in the prison, the best way to come out is not to try to actually jump the fence. The best way is to satisfy the prison authorities. That's a more apt example. So, if I have to come out, and if I want a free life, and if I want no suffering anymore, then I have to humbly approach this matter and humbly approach the right guru. So then, inquire from him submissively. See, inquiry is like the opening of the door or opening of the eyes. Light is always there, but when I close my eyes, it's all darkness. When I open my eyes, it's all light. So, inquiry is the act of opening our eyes because knowledge is always available. We are not taking advantage of it. Questioning is when you invite the knowledge into yourself. You are curious. You want to know. It's not that answer is somewhere in the hiding. No. Answer is not in the hiding. The answer is not hiding. We are hiding away from the answer. That's the actual reality. It may not appear so in the beginning. It appears that, not many people know about this, Hare Krishna or Krishna consciousness or whatever. But that's not the actual fact. The actual fact is that we want to hide away from the knowledge. Knowledge is always there. Krishna's relentless exercise to educate us is unfathomable. We cannot fathom how much Krishna is trying to educate us. Still, people are in complete darkness. That's because they don't want to open their eyes. You may say, oh no, how can you say like that? Because they don't even know about this. Yes, the very fact they do not even know about this is just because they were not pure enough to even know about this. Because if you approach this from an impure, suppose I am not qualified to get this, and if I am introduced to Krishna, I may even offend Krishna more. So to keep us from offending him, Krishna keeps us away from him, so that we don't increase our offenses. So stay away. So in that way. So but if we are at any time interested in this, then yes, Krishna will open up the doors. Like the pure devotees are so merciful that they're even more merciful than Krishna. They will knock at the doors of absolute materialists and atheists even and try to change them to devotees. Now, one thing is, Krishna himself is the one who sent those pure devotees. Why did he send those pure devotees? Because he knows that they will be more merciful than me. I am extending my mercy, but still these people are not taking to it. I will send my pure devotees who are even more merciful than me, and they will, get more souls back to me. So this he is doing all the time. So, but when we start to inquire sincerely, then Krishna will open up. This even pure devotees. If we are not inquisitive, we cannot get as much benefit from their association. I have seen so many so-called devotees who may be in the proximity of great devotees, but they don't take any benefit from that because they are not inquisitive. They have their own agenda. They are just busy with their own thing, and they are inattentive to the treasure that they have in the form of association of devotees. So we should not be like that. Okay, so this is the inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. Sevaya. We have to have the service attitude. Then the self-realized soul can impart knowledge because he has seen the truth. He has seen the truth, but he may not be ready. Like, Jada Bharat, we have in the Srimad Bhagavatam class, we are currently reading the pastimes of Jada Bharat. Jada Bharat spent his whole life like a dumb retard. And the reason being, people were not ready to. Of course, he did not want to get entangled in any materialistic affairs, but also there was no sufficient reason for him to open his mouth because they were not interested anyway. And he just went about his life not being wanting to get disturbed. But then when he met Rahugana, king, although he first offended Jadabharat, but Jadabharat um, saw that this man is actually philosophically inclined. If I speak to him, he will, know, um, change. So, despite, you see how a materialist would argue. Now, King Rahugana insulted Jadabharat so badly, but he did not take all that very seriously, Jadabharat at all. In fact, he did not return the favor. Like he actually um, educated. In fact, he saved King Rahugana. This is the tolerant nature of devotees. They're tolerant and compassionate. Titikshavaha karunikaha. Sadhu bhushana. These are the ornaments of the sadhu. So even though he tried to attack him, he preached to him. Jadabharat preached to Rahugana and made him a devotee. So when there is an opportunity, the pure devotee will reveal himself. And when at the slightest revelation, King Rahugana took advantage. Oh, this is not an ordinary person. I should have not behaved with him like this. And then he immediately asked very important questions about life. So that is the way to go about. We have to question. If we see a great personality who is a pure devotee, then we have to immediately start questioning. So now you may ask, hey, how can I question now? Prabhupada's books are there only. I cannot ask Prabhupada any question. I don't know how many of you have experienced this. If you have a question and you read Prabhupada's books, you will get the answer very many times and on the same day itself. In fact, just yesterday morning, one Mataji asked me a question, and it's about, do we need to follow any auspicious times for our devotional service or something like that? Because Indians, they're very much used to any religious performance. They will look at the Shubha Muhurtam, the auspicious time, at which to perform, and then we don't care so much, and then people look at us like, hey, you don't even have the culture that we have, you don't even care for these things, and then you're behaving like a Westerner or an atheist who don't care for these things. But no, there is three stages. One is the person who doesn't care about it, and then there is the regulations for people who care about these things, and then there is a stage where one transcends these things and these things do not matter anymore, because actually he understands that the actual inauspiciousness is when we are forgetting Krishna, and the actual auspiciousness is when we remember Krishna. And it doesn't matter when we do that. Even at the most auspicious time, if we forget Krishna, that's the greatest loss. And even if at the most inauspicious time, if we remember Krishna, that's the greatest gain. So for him, the passage of time or the moments in time do not matter as much. Shubha Shubha Parityagi. Huh? Shubha Shubha Parityagi, let's take out that verse. Hmm. 12:17. यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान् यः स मे प्रियः. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. Why does he renounce auspicious things? Well, because the so-called auspicious things in this world are still inauspicious. Relatively, they may be more auspicious than the absolute sinful activities. Like, for example, the mode of goodness may be more auspicious than the mode of ignorance. But when we come to we have to rise even above mode of goodness. Nistraigunyo bhavarjana, Krishna says to Arjuna. Rise above the three modes. So once you rise above the three modes, in comparison to Shuddha Sattva, which is the Turiya Guna, the fourth state, these three states are all inferior and therefore inauspicious. Even material goodness is actually inauspicious. It is a favorable platform or a state of being from which to springboard into pure goodness, but in itself it is not pure. It is still part of the material world. It's like this. Changi Airport in Singapore. The airport name is Changi Airport. So, supposedly the best airport in the world. Whatever. If I'm at Changi Airport, I'm still in Singapore. It is a good place from which I can actually take a flight and land somewhere, maybe Delhi or whatever, New York. But if I don't take the plane and actually go there, I'm not out of Singapore. Just by coming to the immigration is not crossing yet. Just coming to the airport is not actually now I'm at the other place already. No, you are at the right place to springboard from there to go to the other place, but you're not yet there. So similarly, mode of goodness is the airport from the material world from which to springboard to pure goodness. So once we go to pure goodness, we realize that everything in this material world, including the mode of goodness, is still inauspicious. I made a TikTok on this long ago, I think 3 years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago. There is a movie title, 50 Shades of Grey. Not a very good movie for devotees, I heard. But that title, I liked it because 50 Shades of Grey. Now there is shades of grey. There's black and there's grey, light grey. So it's like a spectrum. So all of them are grey. Some are black, some are dark grey, some are less dark, and then finally there's like faint dark. Even that faintest of greys is still worse off than white, absolute white. So just because it is grey, much lesser grey than the other one, or it may be considered auspicious. For example, we may consider that electric cars are better than diesel cars or petrol cars. Well, of course, energy is somewhere else, it is produced, and there is pollution, it is displaced pollution. But even then, it's not clean. So, what is supposedly compare that to, even with electric cars, you have to mine cobalt and all these things from the earth, and batteries, when you have to dispose of them, they are not a good thing to dispose of, because they will be harmful to the environment. So the best mode of transport is horses, elephants, in this way. So they are the absolute pollutionless transport system. There's no pollution there. Whereas these things, you may say, oh, Euro 6 or Euro 7 or whatever emission standards, or electric cars or whatever, you may reduce the thing, but you will never come to zero pollution. So these shades of gray of the pollution, sometimes you see the black smoke from the car. Oh, that's black. The Euro 6 standard, it is almost invisible, but it's still there. It is still there. So, like that, it's shades of sin. Comparatively, maybe the light gray may be better off than dark gray. But when you come to white, every shade of gray is bad. So, Shubha Shubha Parityagi, he renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Such a devotee is very dear to me. And I found, I was just randomly reading for some other reason, this book called Madhurya Kadambini. I was looking for a particular verse for a totally different reason. And then I found this one. I'll just read it out because I sent it, took a photo and sent it on WhatsApp. Now, bhakti does not depend on purity nor on faith. And the explanation here is, this is by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The dependence of karma yoga on conditions of purity in place, time, candidate, materials, and performance is well known from the Smriti scriptures. This is not true of bhakti. This is not true of bhakti. Nadesha niyamastatra nakala niyamastatha nochishtado nishedhosti harer namani lubdhaka. In chanting the name of the Lord, there are no restrictions concerning place, time, purity, and so on. Quoted from Vishnu Dharma. This is the Upapurana of Vishnu Purana. So, in chanting the name of the Lord, there are no restrictions. In fact, such pure devotional activities have no restriction. So, in this way, one rises above these auspicious and inauspicious things. Now, coming back to our verse, okay, this is a verse. Now, this is established, and even in our, we have the song, Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. In the third verse, Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavat Gita. Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, Bhagavat, and Gita. So these are our evidences. These are what we should worship. This is our epistemological sources of knowledge for us. Hari, Guru, Vaishnava. Of course, we say Sadhu Shastra Guru. Who is Sadhu? Again, debatable, right? People have different ideas of what is Sadhu. Vaishnava. Other sadhus are not the highest standard of sadhu. Many people may say people as sadhus who are of the like mundane moralists of this world. Sometimes people may call them sadhus, mahatmas, and pandits and whatever. But they cannot compare to sadhus such as Narada Muni, who is Vaishnava. So Vaishnavas are the top-notch sadhus, top-notch, higher than even the Brahmavadis, the Paramatmavadis, the great yogis and the jnanis. They are higher than even that, because Bhagavan is the highest realization of the absolute truth. Param Brahma. He did not even say just Brahma. Param Brahma. So there is Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi. But Param Brahmasmi I cannot say. Aham Brahmasmi, yes. But Arjuna said, Param Brahma, Param Dhāma, pavitraṁ, paramam, bhavān. Bhavān means you are. You are the param Brahma. I'm not param Brahma, he's saying. Aham Brahmasmi. But you are Parabrahmasmi. Parabrahma. Asi. So, or bhavān. So, you are Parabrahma. So, there is a distinction, clear distinction between Brahma and Parabrahma, Atma and Paramatma. So, all the great sages such as Narada, Asito, Devalo, vyāsaḥ confirm this truth about you. So, Bhagavat and Gita are Shastra. Of course, Gita is Krishna speaking. So, that is Hari. Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, Bhagavat, Gita. And in the Bhagavat, it is all the conversations of devotees, Vaishnava, and such philosophical conclusions. And even the Vedanta Sutra and everything. But Vedanta Sutra we cannot understand if we don't read Bhagavatam. Because Bhagavatam is the natural commentary of the Vedanta Sutra. Natural commentary means commentary by the same person. Vedanta Sutra was written by Vyasadeva, Bhagavatam was written by Vyasadeva again. So it is the same person who wrote. So there is a natural commentary. And of course, Vaishnava Acharyas have also written their commentaries. Not only that the Mayavadis have their commentaries on Vedanta Sutra, we also have. Baladev Vidyabhushan wrote in our Sampradaya, Baladev Vidyabhushan wrote a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. So it's all pointing to Vaishnava philosophy. So Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, Bhagavad Gita. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person. All the great sages such as Narada, Asita, Devalo and Vyāsaḥ confirm this truth about it. Now, what is the truth? Let's see. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Param Brahma. The ultimate abode, param dhāma. So everything is resting in Him. Krishna also says, Mattah paradaram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya, mai sarvam idam protam sutre manigana iva. Everything is resting upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. The pearls of a necklace are resting on the thread, and therefore they look so beautiful. But the thread is the underlying cause of such beauty. Now, similarly, Krishna is saying, I am the rest of everything. Everything is sustained by my energy. Ekam shena sthito jagat. Krishna is saying this entire material world is, sustained by a single fragment of my energies. This is the greatness of Krishna. So he is the ultimate abode. The entire spiritual material world, everything is resting on him, on his energy. So param dhāma, and also he is the ultimate abode in the sense we have to go to him. This is not our real abode. We are accepting one of his energies, very minute portion of his energies, vast energies, as our shelter, and we're rejecting him. That's our problem. We are buying a home, for example, house, and thinking that this is my shelter, or I get a citizenship in a country which has a seemingly low crime rate and higher safety and such things and higher comfort. So I think that this is a good abode. But param dhāma, only abhaya charanaravindare, bhajahure mana Srinandanandana abhaya charanaravindare. Abhayam, what is ultimate abode? An abode in which there is no fear. In every other abode we need fear. However nice home we have, in fact the nicer the home, the greater the fear. Because it will attract the burglars. The burglars may come. Oh, this is a good house. Oh, I think these people are very rich. Let's loot this house. Break into this house. So they must have a higher security. The more expensive the home, the higher the security, the higher the fear. That is this material world. And what to speak, that fear is there even in the heavenly planets. Even Indra is fearful of his position. He is thinking that whichever sage is meditating, he is thinking this person, he is taking over my seat. I should finish him. So he is fearful. And not only Indra, every heavenly denizen, he is thinking that okay, I am enjoying now, but my punya, the result of my pious activities is being exhausted by such enjoyment, and therefore I must suffer. I will have to go back to the earthly realm again. And so he's anticipating the destruction of his heavenly life. So it's all fearful. Every abode is fearful in this, and therefore the spiritual world is called Vaikuntha. Vigata kuntha yasmad iti Vaikuntha. The definition of Vaikuntha means kuntha means anxiety. Vigata kuntha yasmad. Where there is no misery, that place is called Vaikuntha. There is no janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. Whereas in every single planet of this material world, Brahma bhuvana lokan punaravartin Arjuna, mam upetya tu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate, Krishna is saying. You go to the highest planet in the material world, Brahma Loka, down to the Patal Loka. Every single abode is full of misery. But mam upetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. You will no more have rebirth if you come to my abode. That is called param dhāma. Parastasmat tu bhavanyo vyakta vyaktat sanatanaha. So vyakta and avyakta means manifest and unmanifest nature. This material world is like that. Sometimes manifest and sometimes unmanifest. But the spiritual world is beyond even the unmanifest material nature. It is eternal, sanatana. So the process by which the sanatan or eternal living entity serves the eternal Lord, Sanatan, śāśvataṁ, puruṣaṁ, śāśvataṁ, divyam. There's a process by which the eternal living entity, Sanatan living entity, worships the Sanatan Lord and reaches the Sanatan abode is called Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma means the dharma or the occupation that is our constitutional position, which is eternally a fact. Our eternal relationship with Krishna, that is Sanatan Dharma, or the process by which that original relationship is revived, that is called Sanatan Dharma. And Sanatan Dharma, in the strictest sense of the term, is actually only devotional service, nothing else. Because the demigod worship is not Sanatan. Although it is part of the Vedic literature, part of the Vedic system, and part of the Sanatan Dharma, but it is in the part of the Karma Kandiya portion, which is not Sanatan. Even what to speak, even Jnana Kanda and Paramatma, I mean yoga, all this is not Sanatan because there is chance of falling down. But only with bhakti it is Sanatan. We will come to this platform from which we will never fall. That is only possible with bhakti, devotional service to Krishna. Otherwise, it is not possible. So you see, so you are the eternal, transcendental, original person. So Param Brahma, he is Param Brahma. Brahma means what? Aham Brahmasmi means what? I am spirit. I am not matter. So the comparison, what is matter, what is spirit? What is the symptoms of matter, what is the symptoms of spirit? I am totally different from the symptoms of matter. I have thought, but a stone does not have thought. So in this way, we can differentiate things. And once we differentiate, then we can see, oh, this is spirit. So I am spirit. I am soul, or I am the Atma. Atma is the actual word. So I am Atma. I am not any part of this material world. Now you are Parabrahma. You are the Supreme Atma. So there is a difference. He is not saying that I am Parabrahma. You are Parabrahma. I am Brahma. Okay. So, and then he said, pavitraṁ paramam bhavān. Pavitraṁ paramam. He is supremely pure. So when he said supremely pure, that means we should absolutely shut up and not blame the Lord. Oh, he committed, oh, he danced with other people's wives, or, he made Arjuna tell lie, or he made Arjuna fight his own family, and therefore don't keep the Krishna and Arjuna, that Parthasarathi picture in your house, because, that same thing will happen in your family. Family will fight. These kind of things, they're putting so many faults on Krishna. They're trying to ascribe so many faults to Krishna. We should not do that. Pavitraṁ paramam means what? He is supremely pure. So if we see anything from our morality, our lens of morality, Krishna is way above that. And the relationship that he has when he embraces the gopis and when Ram embraced Hanuman, it is the exact same thing. There's no difference at all. Because the Parabrahma The spirit soul, the individual Atma, Jivatma, is uniting with the Paramatma. That's all it is. There's no difference between them. So each in their own relationship, in their own variety of relationship. Raso vaisaha. So rasa, there is so many rasas that are there with Krishna. So each individual living entity will have its own really unique relationship with Krishna, and Krishna reciprocates like that. That's all it is. It is not any illicit affair or anything that is made to be. It may look like that. It is transcendental. It will evoke certain emotions when it appears like that, but it's not at all that. So he is not only pure on his own, but whoever comes to him also becomes pure. That is explained. You see, first of all, let's go to this verse. Sapariyagachukramakayamayavranam asnaviram shuddham apapavidham. He is shuddham and apapavidham. Kavirmanishi paribhuh swayambhur yatha tathyatorthan vedadha śāśvatebhyah samabhyah. Such a person must factually know the greatest of all, the personality of Godhead, who is unembodied, omniscient, beyond reproach, without veins, pure and uncontaminated, the self-sufficient philosopher who has been fulfilling everyone's desire since time immemorial. You see, the word here, shuddham, antiseptic, and apapavidham, prophylactic. What is prophylactic? That means whatever comes to it also becomes pure. Let's see the dictionary definition of prophylactic. Intended to prevent disease. A medicine or course of action used to prevent disease. Prophylactic. Preventive measure. So, in fact, we will be cured from the disease and it will not again occur again. It's a vaccination against infection of Maya. So, how are the Vaikuntavasis not falling down? Because they're always engaged in Krishna's service. And therefore, he is apapavidham, prophylactic. Whoever comes to him, he is pure by himself and he's antiseptic as well. Even if we are infected, we will, just like the sun, it may evaporate even urine and it will not get infected. But if we go to a place where all the urine and everything is there, we may get infected. So, apapavidham, prophylactic, kavi, omniscient, manishi, philosopher, paribhu, the greatest of all, swayambhu, self-sufficient, yatha tathyatah, just in pursuance of. So this is how he exists. And see here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted this verse. 111:38. Etadishanameshasya prakristhopi tadgunaihi na yujyate sadatmasthair buddhistadashreya. This is the divinity of the personality of Godhead. He is not affected by the qualities of material nature, even though he is in contact with them. Similarly, the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord do not become influenced by the material qualities. This is the position. The Lord is so powerful that the devotees are also not infected by those qualities. This is also stated in this. See, 1088.5 Srimad Bhagavatam. Harir hi nirgunah sakshat puruṣaḥ prakriteh parah sasarvadrik upadrashta tam bhajan nirguno bhavet. Lord Hari, however, has no connection with the material modes. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the all-seeing eternal witness who is transcendental to material nature. Now, one who worships him becomes similarly free from the material modes. See? One who worships him becomes similarly free from the material modes. So this is how it works. This is how pure the Lord is. Om apavitraha pavitro va sarvavastham gatopi va yah smaret pundarikaksham sabahya abhyantara shuchihi. What happens? If we just remember the lotus-eyed Lord Krishna, our outside and inside becomes purified. So just by remembering him, everything becomes purified. And in fact, 8:23:16. मन्त्रतस्तन्त्रतश्छिद्रं देशकालार्हवस्तुतः सर्वं करोति निश्छिद्रम् अनुसंकीर्तनं तव. There may be discrepancies in pronouncing the mantras and observing the regulative principles, and moreover, there may be discrepancies in regard to time, place, person, and paraphernalia. But when your Lordship's holy name is chanted, everything becomes faultless. Yannamamangalagnam shrutamath gaditam yatkrito gotra dharma. So Yannamamangalagnam shrutamath gaditam. So this is from 1090:47. Very important verse of Bhagavatam. The 5 great qualities of Krishna. Tirtham chakre nirponam yadajani yadushu svahasarit padashaucham vidvit snigdha swarupam yayurajita para shriryadarthenya yatnah yannamamangalagnam shrutamath gaditam yatkrito gotra dharmah krishnasya etanna chitram kshitibharaharanam kalachakrayudhasya. The heavenly Ganga is a holy place of pilgrimage because her waters wash Lord Krishna's feet. You see, Ganga is considered pure. If you want to get purified, we will take Ganga Snan or sprinkle Ganga Jal. But the heavenly Ganga is a place of pilgrimage because her waters wash Lord Krishna's feet. So this is the purifying nature of Krishna. Pavitraṁ paramam bhavān. But when the Lord descended among the Yadus, his glories eclipsed the Ganga as a holy place. But those who hated Krishna and those who loved him attained eternal forms like his in the spiritual world. You see how pure he is? Even those who hated him, just by his killing them, they attain liberation. You see how powerful. The unattainable and supremely self-satisfied goddess of fortune, for the sake of whose favor everyone else struggles, belongs to him alone. His name destroys all inauspiciousness when heard or chanted. Yannamamangalagnam shrutamata gaditam. Amangala, Yannama, whose name, Amangala Gnam. Gnam means kills, the death. Like, Ram's brother is called Shatrughna. Shatrughna means, Shatru means enemy, Ghna means kill, the killer of enemies. Shatrughna. Pashughna means one who kills an animal. Nivritta tarshai rupagiyamanas bhavaushada shrotra manobhiramar ka uttama shloka gunanuvadat puman virajyeta vina pashughnat. A butcher, he cannot understand, he cannot enter into the he cannot take advantage of Krishna's topics, listening to Krishna's topics. He will not be interested in this. So Pashughna. So Ghna means to kill. Amangala, Mangal means auspicious. Amangala means inauspiciousness. Ghna means kill. Yannama Amangala Ghnam. Yannama Amangala Ghnam. Shrutamatha Gaditam. Shrutam means either heard or Gaditam means when chanted. So just by his name, everything becomes auspicious. Everything becomes pure. Punyagandha, Prithivyam cha. Punya means original. Everything becomes purified. Punya Shravana Kirtanam. You see? What is that? I've edited. So you see, this is a very famous verse. Shrinvatam Swakathaha Krishnaha Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Hridyantah sthohya bhadrani vidhunoti suhritsatam. You see, vidhunoti. Dhunoti means cleansed. Vidhunoti means completely cleansed. Abhadrani. Antah sthohya abhadrani. Hridyantah sthohya abhadrani vidhunoti suhritsatam. When punya shravana kirtanam. Swakatha Krishna. So this is very nice. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. So, if you see here, 7-9, Punya means that which is not decomposed. Punya Shravana Kirtanam. So, this is very nice. Krishna Katha that is not decomposed. That means when it is transferred as it is, Bhagavad-gītā as it is. When Bhagavad-gītā is interpreted, it is decomposed Shravanam Kirtanam. So we should not resort to decomposed Shravanam and Kirtanam, but Punya Shravana Kirtanam. So if we hear from the bona fide spiritual master through the parampara system as it is, that is Punya Shravana Kirtanam, not decomposed, original. Everything in the material world has a certain fragrance, and as the fragrance in a flower or in the earth, of course, this is Punya Gandha Prativyam cha. In water, in fire, etc., the uncontaminated fragrance, the original fragrance which permeates everything is Krishna. So the original fragrance or the original flavor of the Vedic literature is also Krishna. The original message, when it is uncontaminated, when it is not decomposed, when it's not interpreted or misinterpreted and not distorted, that is the same as Krishna. Krishna's topics in Krishna, there's no difference, provided when it is transmitted as it is. When there is interpretation and when unintended conclusions are extracted, then that is decomposed Shravanam and Kirtanam. And this is the exact reason why. And it is poisonous. When you eat decomposed food, what happens? You get food poisoning. So similarly, when you hear decomposed Shravanam Kirtanam, Harikatha, but distorted. This is why Shravanam naiva kartavyam sarpochishtam yatha payaha. It's poisonous. Avaishnava mukhodgiranam putam harikathamritam. Shravanam naiva kartavyam sarpochishtam yatha payaha. So even if it is harikatha, which is nectarian, but if it is not coming from a Vaishnava, then it is not Punya Shravana Kirtanam. It is decomposed Shravanam Kirtanam. It is poisonous. It is coming from the lips of a serpent. You cannot hear. You should not hear it. If you are interested in your own advancement, if you're not interested, that's another thing. If you want to go to hell, if you want to suffer, if you want to be confused about the whole thing, yeah. If you want to commit offenses towards the Lord, yes. By all means, you can go and hear from all these rascals who are speaking about so-called Harikatha, about Vedic literature. They have no right to speak on these topics. Yeah, these rascals who are not, those who are not Vaishnavas, how much they may show to the whole world that they are big gurus, or they may call themselves even Sadgurus. Sadguru means actually bona fide spiritual master. It only the real, I mean, it's applicable to Prabhupada and people of that standard. But nowadays, it is a fashion for people to accept titles like Mahatma, Panditji, Sadguru, Babaji. So these titles have become very cheap nowadays. And this is the exact reason why there is the injunction in the Shastra which says that Sannyasam Palapaitrikam Devarena Sudotpatim Kalau Pancha Vivarjayat. In Kali Yuga, give up this sannyas and everything. Sannyas ashram is forbidden in Kali Yuga. But why? Because people misrepresent this whole thing. All these titles now are occupied or taken up by useless fellows who have no idea of what is actually Vedic literature or the purpose of Vedic literature, Krishna and the devotional service to Krishna. They have not a tinge of devotion. And they are the people who are accepting these titles. And people are also calling them like that. So, it's a very important point. But when it is done purely, then it is Punya Shravana Kirtanam. So, Pravishtaha karna randhrena svanam bhava saroruham dhunoti. Again, Vithunoti Suhrit Satam there. Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna Salilasya Yatha Sharat. Srimad Bhagavatam, the sound incarnation of Lord Krishna. You see, this is the sound incarnation of Lord Krishna. The Supreme Soul enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material associations such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus, it acts like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water. So, this is the purification, purificatory power of Krishna. Just by hearing any of his things, whether name, form, qualities, pastimes, entourage, and paraphernalia, if we get connected with any of these things, we become purified. Pavitraṁ, paramam, bhavān. Of course, there are so many verses. शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृणन्त्यभीक्ष्णशः स्मरन्ति नन्दन्ति तवेहितं जनाः त एव पश्यन्त्यचिरेण तावकं भवप्रवाहो परमं पदाम्बुजम्. You see, again, the purificatory process or purificatory power of Krishna. Just by even appreciating, taking pleasure, you see, O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities, or even if they don't do it, if they take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. So, how can we say that Krishna is imperfect, Krishna did this and that and this and that? That means we cannot understand. Krishna said that Janma Karma Chame Divyam. My activities are transcendental. You rascal, you cannot understand. Okay? My birth and activities are so transcendental that if you learn about them, your birth and activities in this material world will stop. That is the nature of my pure birth and activities. Krishna is saying this, and he's not um, um, boasting when he's saying this. He's just saying as a matter of fact. So, pavitraṁ paramam bhavān puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam. Now, again, very important verse, a very important word. Puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam. Now, eternally, he is puruṣaṁ, he is enjoyer. Let's see what is puruṣaṁ, personality, śāśvataṁ, eternal, transcendental, divyam. Now, puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam. This is a very important word actually. Puruṣam means male. Purusha. Govindam ādi puruṣam tamaham bhajami. We are all Prakriti. Sometimes when I assume the role of Purusha in this material world, we consider man, woman, male, female. But here, everybody has a male tendency. They want to enjoy, whether in female body or male body. They want to enjoy. That is Purusha mentality. But, you know, we are actually Prakriti. And we may say we are Purusha today, oh, I am a man. But that is not śāśvata. Next moment, next life, I will become a female. So, even that material identity of maleness is not śāśvat or eternal. Puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam. Krishna is eternally male. What about his Mohini avatar? Well, when he assumes that avatar, he is still the enjoyer. He is still the enjoyer. So he may take the role of female, but his mentality is still male. He is a perfect female also. I mean, he expanded himself into Radharani so that he will enjoy. So these are, of course, higher truths, but he's always male. In a sense, he's always the enjoyer. And the other day, one person came, he was arguing with me. No, actually, the ultimate is feminine. I said, no, Shakti is never the highest. Shaktiman is the highest. Shakti is possessed by the Shaktiman. Okay. When I lift something, it is a display of energy, but I am the energetic person who is displaying that energy. So it is the energetic whose possession is the energy, and then energy is never um, above the energetic. So the energetic Shaktiman is Krishna. And he has Parasa Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. Yes, Durga, for example, Vividhaiva Shruyate, he has multifarious energies for performing different actions of his or different things. And Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Bibharti Durga. Durga is following his orders like a shadow of the Chit potency. And she follows Ichhanurupam apiyasya cha cheshtate sa Govindam adi puruṣaṁ tamaham bhajami. She conducts herself according to the orders and will of Govinda. So she's never the supreme. He is the supreme. So feminine is never the God's nature is masculine. He is in fact the only masculine person. Everybody else is actually feminine. Now we may say that okay, we are Mamaivam Sujjival, okay, we are actually part and parcel of Krishna, we are, we also have the same nature as Krishna's. How can, if he is Purusha, we should also be Purusha, right? Yes, we have that tendency to lord it over, we have. But we have it in very minute quantity. That's why we can maybe control a little bit a family, a company, or a team within a company, or a government itself of a country, or the entire world, or sometimes even like Brahma, entire universe. But that is nothing compared to the original control of Krishna, which is in unlimited universes and the spiritual world is unimaginable. So we have a little bit of that, and the misuse of that is what brought us here. That free will. Free will, when we say that, okay, I want to exercise my male tendencies apart from Krishna. Male tendencies with Krishna is still possible. Like you see Hanuman. He fought like an absolute male, right? I mean, warrior. But he did it as an offering of service to Ram. So that is Prakriti. Means it's feminine. It's in the service of someone. The enjoyer, male means enjoyer. That is only Krishna. So he is puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ and divyam, transcendental male, not ordinary male. Not this material male and female. No, above that. Transcendental male, and he's always male. He's always. We cannot say the same for ourselves. We are sometimes overpowered. We may control a little bit, but we are also controlled. But he is only controller and nobody is controlling him. Of course, he will say that his devotees are also controlling him, and that is by his own will he comes under the control. That is for rasa. That is different subject matter altogether. But technically, philosophically, there is no one above him. Matta paratraṁ nānyat. Asamordhva. There is nobody equal to him or greater than him. So even if we are controller to an extent, we are always controlled also. But the person who is only controller and never controlled, he is the male and forever he remains. And that is puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam. That is only Krishna. Okay. Govindam ādi puruṣaṁ, the original male. We are all fake. We are fake male. Whether man or woman in this material world is trying to be a male, that is fake. Just like this transgender movement actually started here. We are female, but we're thinking now we are male. And then here we are having a relationship between male and female here. It's just like lesbians. One of them thinks she's a male, and one of them thinks she's a female. And that's how both lesbians have, relationship nowadays. And this is actually what is happening in this material world. It's just a full lesbian society. If we look at it spiritually, we are actually female. Both are female, but both are coming with an enjoying spirit, with a male spirit. And one is assuming male and one is assuming female on the external, but internally they are all having male tendencies. But originally, internally, the soul is actually a female, so it's completely messed up. Therefore, our constitutional position is to cooperate with the Lord's enjoyment. When we say female, it's about cooperating with the Lord's enjoyment. A female is supposed to cooperate with the male for his enjoyment, and in that lies her enjoyment. And that is true even in the social structure. A woman is happy when she cooperates with the happiness of a man. And if the man is cultured, his happiness lies in Krishna. So if she cooperates with that, then she also gets. And even materially speaking, if she becomes a chaste wife to the husband, then he will protect her. So that is the way female is happy. She is never happy independently. She is never happy. So we ourselves, we are never happy on our own because we are female by nature. We just can't be happy. We can only be happy if we cooperate with Krishna's happiness. So puruṣaṁ śāśvataṁ divyam, transcendental male and always male, unlike us. Ādi-devam, the original Lord. See, these statements of Bhagavad-gītā are complete refutations of all sorts of demigod worship and everything. Oh, everybody is the same. No. ādi-devam, the original Lord. And he is the where in 10th chapter 2nd verses aham ādi devanam maharshinam cha sarvashah. Krishna says in 10th chapter 2nd verse that I am the origin of all the demigods and sages. So recently the man who said that ultimately it's all feminine, he was mentioning that Ram, he worshipped Lord Shiva, that's why there is Rameshwaram. He said he also worshipped Durga for weapons, to kill Ravan. And apparently, the stones floated because of Nala and Neela, because of they are sons of Vishwakarma, and they can make this floating bridge and all that. It's not about Ram. It's a Hanuman who actually did all this jumping and carrying the mountains and everything. So that's what they claim. So Ram just was an ordinary person. I mean, he was a human being. He was also saying, this man, so-called Hindu fellow. Ram is just a human being. So this is the thing about the Lord. The Ram is the supreme personality of Godhead, and Hanuman gets his strength to do all those things by chanting the name of Ram. And everything that exists, and every power there is to anyone, anyone who has the power, it is only there because of the power of Ram or Krishna. But then he had to fulfill the benediction that Ravan received from Shiva. Shiva, or who gave him that benediction? That he would, never be killed by so many types of living entities. He never mentioned man or monkeys because he thought already devatas have mentioned, sages, great things have mentioned. Humans and monkeys, why do you even mention them? We don't even have to mention them. But then therefore he came as a human. Not that he became a human. He exhibited as if he was a human with that limited powers of a human. And then he went. But he empowered everyone around him. Yeah? And he himself, of course, is the Supreme Lord. And he easily killed Ravan, who is the father of the person who defeated Indra. And he killed him easily. Of course, the Lord will make it look like a difficult battle. I know, Lakshman was injured, Ram was captivated, held captive by the Nagastra of Indrajit, and it looks like it was a close fight. Well, the Lord does that in order to evoke feelings of love from the devotees. For example, when he was fighting with Kamsa and Chanura and Mushtika, he was so small size, and the wrestlers was towering over them, and Krishna and Balaram. Krishna and Balaram were like delicate boys, and these wrestlers were fully built, jacked up wrestlers, muscular bodies. The bodies were like stones, like mountains, in fact. And people are thinking, what is going on? I mean, how can this be a fair fight? So, so the Lord likes to make it look like that. When he was, Trinavarta demon, when he was picked up, oh, Yashoda Maya, she lost her mind. And all the people in the arena of Kamsa's, death, in that wrestling arena, they were like, they were losing their minds. What is happening? Children were being tortured. They will be killed by these big wrestlers. They were thinking like this. So it evokes the anxiety of the devotees, and that is not an anxiety of this material world. Such anxiety is actually a feature of ecstatic love, ecstasy in Krishna consciousness. So it's a very different thing. So to evoke such feelings, the Lord sometimes acts as if he's helpless. Um, when Putana came to give her breast milk to Krishna, he sucked it as if it was just a child, but he killed her. So nobody is actually of any match to Krishna. Although when he used to walk, his soles of his feet would become red just by the touch of a grass. So delicate. And yet, he could kill the biggest and the most heinous of demons. Putana, Arishtasura, Dhenukasura killed by Balram, Aghasura, so many, Trinavarta, of course. All of them were killed. Even Kamsa himself. And later on, Jarasandha, of course, by Bhima. But so many demons he killed like that. So, but he was very delicate. So, he was delicate and at the same time strong. So, this is usually when one is delicate, is not strong, and if he's strong, is not delicate. But Krishna can have both these things together. So, they're contradictory, but they exist in harmony in Krishna. See? So, this is the unique nature of Krishna, and nobody can come close to his Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, his mystic powers. ādi-devam. So he empowers his devotees sometimes to have greater powers than him. Classic example. Okay. তাহান সিদ্ধি করে হেন অন্য না দেখিয়া আমার দুষ্কর কর্ম তোমা হইতে হয়. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said this to Nityananda Prabhu. You can perform a task that even I cannot do. But for you, I cannot find anyone in Gaudadesh who can fulfill my mission there. Purport. Lord Chaitanya's mission is to deliver the fallen souls of this age. In this age of Kali, practically 10% of the population is fallen. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu certainly delivered many fallen souls, but his disciples mainly came from the upper classes. For example, he delivered Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and many others who were socially elevated, but fallen from the spiritual point of view. Srila Rupa and Sanatana Goswamis were situated in government service, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was the topmost scholar of India. Similarly, Prakashananda Saraswati was the leader of many thousands of Mayavadi sannyasis. It was Srila Nityananda Prabhu, however, who delivered persons like Jagai and Madhai. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya says, Amar dushkar karma toma hoite hoy. Jagai and Madhai were delivered solely by Nityananda Prabhu's mercy. When they injured Nityananda Prabhu, Lord Chaitanya became angry and decided to kill them with his Sudarshan Chakra, but Nityananda Prabhu saved them from the Lord's wrath and delivered them. In the incarnation of Gaur Nitai, the Lord is not supposed to kill demons, but is supposed to deliver them by preaching Krishna consciousness. In the case of Jagai and Madhai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so angry that he would have immediately killed them, but Nityananda Prabhu was so kind that he not only saved them from death, but elevated them to the transcendental position. Thus, what was not possible for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was carried out by Nityananda Prabhu. Similarly, if one is true to Gaur Nitai's service in the disciplic succession, he can even excel Nityananda Prabhu's service. This is the process of disciplic succession. Nityananda Prabhu delivered Jagai and Madhai, but a servant of Nityananda Prabhu, by his grace, can deliver many thousands of Jagais and Madhais. That is the special benediction of the disciplic succession. One who is situated in the disciplic succession can be understood by the result of his activities. So in this way, Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur Aradhanam param tasmat parataram devi tadiyanam samarchanam. Of all types of worship, the worship of Lord Vishnu is best, and better than the worship of Vishnu is the worship of his devotee, the Vaishnava. Madbhakta puja bhyathika, Krishna says. So the worship of my devotee is higher than my worship also. So he is always looking for how to glorify his devotee and make his devotee do more than him. So when Hanuman does all these things, the Hanuman gets all the glory. And Ram wants that Hanuman's glories be known all over the world. People condemn even Ram, but Hanuman nobody will condemn. Of course, those who condemn Ram are idiots and rascals and demons of the highest sort. They will be punished. That's another thing. But they may condemn Ram. So he does sometimes things which, are bewildering to the common mass of people. Like he banished his wife. He fought with his own sons, Love and Kush. And, he went for that magical deer, even though Sita would be in danger. There are so many things people can complain about Ram, and some people say that um, Ravan is better. I think I wrote an article on that in our Science of Godhead magazine. They said Ravan is better. There's a story they made up, like this mother who's pregnant. She will ask her daughter, tell guess. Do you want a brother or a sister? She says, I want a brother. Then, oh, what kind of a brother do you want? She says, I want a brother like Ravan. So the mothers get shocked. What are you saying? You should have a brother like Ram. Why are you saying Ravan? No, how long will you worship Ram? Because Ram, when his, Ravan, when his sister Surpanaka was this thing, her nose was cut. For her, he prepared, he sacrificed his whole dynasty for the sake of honor of his sister. He fought Ram and everything. And even when he kidnapped Sita, he did not touch her. He wanted to give the highest comforts for Sita. But look at Ram. Sita was so faithful to him, and even then, after the full war, he went, and after that he banished her. So, considering all these things, Ravana was more favorable to women in the matter of his sister and in the matter of Sita. He respected her. He did not touch her until she agreed. And even if she agreed, he would have treated her as the most, with the most highest of opulences. So he treated women better than Ram did. So why do I need a brother like Ram? I want a brother like Ravan. Look at this. So of course I wrote an article on that. Ravan did not, of course he touched Sita, but he did not sexually violate her because he was cursed by Nalakuvara in the heavenly planets. Rambha, he raped Rambha in heavenly planets. He used to rape many women, but then Nalakuvara then cursed him. The next time he violates any woman against her will, he will die immediately. So he wasn't actually scared of any curses, but he was thinking, just in case if that curse becomes true, then why should I risk it? So I will not. So he did not want Sita against her to violate her against her will. He wanted to just make her agreeable somehow or other, by hook or by crook. And once he agrees, then he can have a relationship with her. That's what his plan was. And he did not fight the Ram and everybody because his sister was mutilated. That was not the main reason. Shurpanakha actually enticed Ravan, saying that you know how beautiful this Sita is. I have never seen a beauty like that. Even in the heavenly planets, you will never find a beauty like that. That's how she introduced Sita to him. And for the lust of her, he went there. And he fought the whole thing. He destroyed his own dynasty because of his own lust. Whereas Ram, he wanted to show what is righteousness. And even he gave up personal attachment in order for executing his duty as a king. He set an example. And moreover, the internal reason of the separation between Ram and Sita is that it is vipralambha bhava. In separation, the ecstasy is much higher. So that is internally they are relishing that relationship, both of them, Ram and Sita. But externally, he is also showing that as a king, you should not have any. Although Agni Pariksha already happened, her chastity was proven even by Lord Brahma and Agni Dev himself. Even Agni could not burn Mother Sita. That pure she was. So it was already established. And even after that, people were commenting. So if people comment like that, then in the future, people may quote Ram or Sita, and women may go and live with another man, because the complaint was that, oh, because one fisherwoman or something, she did not return home one night. She was stuck on the other side of the river, and it went sundown. It was dark, and then so she waited for the next day morning, and then she came back home. The husband did not accept it. No, no, no. You are missing, because that was the culture. If a woman is missing for one night, she has committed adultery, and then she's not accepted anymore. So he said, "No, I'm not going to accept you." Ram may accept Sita after she was gone for 10 months, but I can't. So he was, so Ram was thinking that, in the future they may quote me, or, they may quote Sita, Mother Sita, and do sinful activities. Oh, Sita also was there for 10 months. Ram accepted. No, you should also accept me, a woman, if she may say like that. Or, it become, so the society will become into chaos. It will go to chaos. So, in order to um, save the people from sin in the future for the eternity of time, he went through personal inconvenience and, in fact, such harsh treatment towards Mother Sita while she was pregnant, in order to save us from committing sinful activities. And for this, he is blamed. But nobody will blame Hanuman. So Ram sometimes takes these risks, or Krishna takes these risks, where he might be, he might get the blame, but he does not want his devotee to get the blame. His devotee should have the highest glory. So sometimes, so Ram empowers. And when he does that, when he acts like he's helpless, oh, like an ordinary human being he behaves. Or let us take in our temple, like Archa Vigraha, he's standing like a stone. I don't even know how to dress myself. Please dress me. I don't know how to bathe myself. Bathe me. So all the water is given by him. And then he doesn't know how to bathe himself. Of course he does. But he's giving us a chance to serve him. He can run the entire universe by himself. He's breathing in universes. He's breathing universes. He doesn't need any demigod to manage any of the affairs of the universe. He can do it all by himself. In fact, sometimes when Brahma, there was no qualified soul to become Brahma, he himself becomes Brahma. So for him, nobody is irreplaceable. He can replace everyone and he can continue. Just like Brahma Vimohan Leela. Brahma took all those cowherd boys, cows, calves and everything. He thought that now this Krishna cannot enjoy. When he came back, Krishna was still enjoying. Who he was enjoying with? He was enjoying with himself. All those cowherd boys were himself in Narayan forms. And they assumed these forms, and his Leela was continuing. Not that I block his Leela will stop. No, no, no. Our advancement will stop, but his Leela will continue. If we don't preach Krishna consciousness, it's not that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction will not come true. It will come true. Somebody will come, Krishna will send somebody, and that will continue. But if we do it, we will benefit. So his mission is never dependent on us. We are dependent on his mission. He gives us a mission so that we can do something for him. Otherwise, there's no mission. Parasa Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriyacha. Automatically all his energies are working and there's no need for anybody to do anything for him. Swarat, he's independent. He's not dependent on anyone. Eko Bahunamyo Vidadhati Kaman, he is a provider for everyone. No one provides for him. But he gives us certain responsibilities. He gives us duties, missions, so that we can serve him. This is his benediction. So when he acts seemingly helplessly, that is actually a great opportunity to serve. If he built the whole bridge himself, the floating bridge, what will Nala and Neela do? And what will all the monkeys, the birds, the squirrels, and the insects and the fish were also helping? The fish in the ocean, they were also pushing the stones all together. All of them were coming to serve Ram. How will they get purified if he did everything? So this is how we should understand the Lord. But he could do everything. In fact, he is the one who did. By his name, everything was working. Hanuman got his power from his name. Everybody got his power from Ram's name. So we should never forget that. Okay. So going back, ādi-devam, he is the original Lord. Okay. Ajaṁ, unborn. We are also unborn. We are also unborn actually. But we are anu. We are ajam, but we are anu. He is vibhum, greatest. Anoraniyan, mahato mahiyan. He is smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest. Ahu. So this is the position of Krishna. He is all round great. Not that he is great in one side only. He is only big. But no, he is small also. He enters into even the Atma. He is smaller than the smallest. And is bigger than the biggest. Both sides. So that is established by all, not only you are saying now, Krishna, and Vedic literature say, the great sages say, and I am also realizing this now, and this is therefore the truth. So this is the Vedic epistemology, and the conclusion of its of that knowledge is that Govindam ādi puruṣaṁ. And that is not the end of the conclusion. Tamaham bhajami. Okay, he is the ādi purusha, but what am I going to do? Tamaham bhajami. I am going to serve you. This is the perfection. ādi-devam, it is said. So next verse, he says, sarvameta dhritam manye. Since you are the greatest, since you are the purest, since you are the ultimate abode, since you are the original Lord, and transcendental eternal Purusha, enjoyer, and the owner of everything, therefore, whatever you say, I will accept. Sarvameta dhritam manye yanmam vadasi keshava. Nahite bhagavan vyaktim vidur devan danava. The devatas and danavas cannot understand, but I can understand because I will just accept what you say. And that's it. So when the source is so perfect, we don't need to exercise our logic and all these things to test the knowledge given by that perfect source. No more. And we are anyway incapable to test. So that is the base of our knowledge. We are not here to test the statements of the Vedas. If anything, we will use the statements of Vedas to evolve our own thinking process rather than subjecting the Vedas to conform to our thinking process. And if something does not conform, we have to reject that. And that's what modern Hindutvavadis also are. They accept some portions of the Vedas, some portions they don't. The other day there was a famous historian, Vikram Sampath. I think he and others also say this, but I heard him say more than once in multiple videos. So he says that, we were a great culture, we were a great civilization, Bharat. But of course, we should not also overstate what we were. We should not say that, we had all kinds of inventions, we have nuclear weapons, we have planes and everything. We should not overdo it. We should stay within our limits, but we were a great civilization and we were the greatest civilization on earth. But some things which are, added masala, and he says, he quoted that verse, Purvavritta kathayuktam. He said Purvavrittam, but kathayuktam. All tales all were added to the facts, and in this way our histories were compiled. And therefore, many of the things that you see that, aeroplanes and, some wonderful descriptions, these are all tales only. They are not the real thing. But the real thing is what we can, take lessons from that and use it in our life. That's what they say. That's what the modern historians say. I mean, even the Vedic so-called Hindutva historians, have no idea of how great our culture actually is, how great the Vedic knowledge actually is. So, if we accept the way to evolve ourselves, the way to go beyond perceivable reality. For example, I have not yet studied, but little bit I have studied about the Vedic cosmology. Little bit I have read. I am yet to go into more detail, whatever is available. But from what I have read so far, and I have spent few tens of hours studying whatever I've studied so far, but nothing compared to what needs to be studied or what knowledge is available. But even with that, you know, what I realized is what we see and what the descriptions of the Puranas are totally different. But the Surya Siddhanta has a description that is very relatable to us, whereas the Puranas describe a cosmology that is we cannot relate to. Almost completely we cannot relate to. Different experience. Now, instead of just decrying the Bhagavatam model or the Puranic model, if we accept this principle that sarvameta dhritam manya, whatever is said in the Shastras is true. Of course, whatever Krishna says is true. That what is that? Veda Purana Kalila. Veda is sarve mahame Veda Vedanta Krit. Vedavit eva chaham. So, of course, he may sometimes get pure devotees to write scriptures, and he himself comes as Vyasadeva and writes. So, in any case, all these Vedic literatures, they are perfect, right? So, Puranas are perfect. Surya Siddhanta is perfect. Now we should, that being the baseline, we should adjust our thought process, because if both are saying something contradictory, then how can they be true? Well, in our mind, that is there, is contradictory. But if we have to accept axiomatically that both are true, now you adjust your mind to accommodate this idea of both are true. Not that in my mind I cannot accommodate that these contradictory. It's like we cannot accept the contradiction that somebody can be so delicate that grass also will make his soles red, and at the same time he's dancing on the hoods of Kalia, and the Kalia is feeling the pain like it's a mountain pressing on its head. How can that be true? I mean, how can those two things? And he was a baby when he was just days old, and then he killed Putana, who was a massive, colossal demoness. So these are contradictory things, but are possible, of course, in Krishna. But Krishna also does illusion in such a way that we are offered a completely different experience than the demigods and others. It's totally possible. I mean, we may not comprehend such a thing. But if these both are true, and they do appear contradictory in some of the details and many of the details sometimes, how is that? So then we have to adjust our mind, and that's how we grow to accept Vedic authority. So, and we have to take opinions from, like for example, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. You see, today's astrology, all the panchanga, today's yesterday was New Year for many cultures, many parts of India, right? So panchanga in Telangana and my side, panchanga shravanam is done. They hear about what are the upcoming things that are going to come in this year and all that, the predictions. So this is a great science, astrology. Modern science has no idea. They call it pseudoscience, or some fictional belief system, or some superstitions. They think like this, but actually they cannot understand these things. They only understand physical forces like gravity or magnetic or electromagnetic. These forces they understand, but astrological forces, a planet so far away affecting a life of a person here and affecting every single person's life in different ways according to the time of their birth. Wow, what is that science? So it's way beyond their understanding. It's a much more subtle science which they cannot understand. So there are many aspects which we cannot understand with our objective reasoning, depending on our senses alone. So don't take your baseline sensory perception or your so-called scientific evidence that we have received from our textbooks as the baseline, as the foundation of analyzing everything. No, that's not the rubric. That's not the um, standard with which we measure everything against. No. Shastra is perfect. Sarvametadritam manya, because it is given by the Lord or his greatest devotees. Like Surya Siddhanta is spoken by Surya Dev, Vivaswan, to Mayadanav. So Surya Bhagavan is a pure devotee. Krishna spoke to him directly. Parampara started with him. There is a Surya Parampara. Lost on earth, but in other parts of the universe it is still existing. But, so he is a pure devotee. So he will not speak some lie. And then at the same time, Sukadeva Goswami won't speak a lie in the Bhagavatam. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, I mean, today every astrological calculation is based on Surya Siddhanta. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur read the Bhagavatam and Surya Siddhanta, and he had no confusion about the two of them. But if you read the both of the texts, you will find a lot of confusion. And that is because we have not accommodated our understanding to accept both. How can both be possible? We have to figure out models in which both can be possible. In fact, both are possible. It is just both are actually already a reality. But how is that possible? Then we will start to begin to realize the greatness of Krishna's illusion. That how can, we know relativity of time, relativity of space, relativity of experience. How we are experiencing the universe in one way and the demigods in another way. The scientists have zero understanding of that. We are open to now that idea of relativity of experience by accepting the Vedic truths as true and then adjusting our understanding to that. So that's how we grow. In fact, that's how we grow. We should take it as a great impetus for growth to accept the Vedic literature as they are and change our understanding. Don't think that you are always right. Should change our understanding exactly according to the Shastra. So anyway, so these are the things. So this is how we have to understand. So this is Vedic epistemology and its conclusion that Krishna is the Supreme. Alright, so I'll stop here. Any questions or comments on this topic? Jack Foster. Hello, which sampradaya do you belong from? So we belong to the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So that's our sampradaya. How to like higher taste and realize reality of Krishna's infinite God perception. So, how to realize? How do you realize a recipe? I mean, a dish in the kitchen. You want to make a dish. You want to make an item. Say a dessert or a cake or a sabji or a bread, whatever. How do you realize it? You follow the recipe. So, and if we follow the recipe in detail and pay attention to all details, if we follow everything rightly, in the end we will realize the end product. Similarly, it's the exact same process. We have to accept the recipe given by the spiritual master, bona fide spiritual master, always bona fide spiritual master. So we have to accept the recipe, the program given by the guru. So that's why you read Bhagavad-gītā as it is by Srila Prabhupada and Science of Self-Realization, these books, and then you will get an idea and associate with devotees, like attend the classes now, like how you're attending now, and then eventually come in contact with devotees, and then we can meet, and then you will grow, and then eventually you will realize. Gradually the purification will happen, and depending on the degree of our purification, we will have access to Krishna. We should be patient. Utsahan, Nishchaya, Dhairya. These three things should be there. And Tat karma pravartanat. So that means what? We have to have enthusiasm, determination, and patience. We cannot be impatient. You know, there was one boy here, Chinese boy, who used to come. He did not last very long. um, but he was he asked one day, one of our devotees. He said, "I want to see Krishna." Okay, how to see Krishna? First thing is you have to become humble. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishna amanena manadena kirtaniya sadahari. You can always chant his name when you become humble, and when you become tolerant, and give always respect, and not expect any respect from others, and then you will always be able to chant his name. And if you chant his name purely, you will be able to see Krishna. Okay, so I want to become humble now. What should I do? So the devotee said, you have to first wash the pots. Okay, I will wash the pots. Where are the pots? Then he went to the kitchen, washed the pots for 2 hours, continuously washing pots. And then he washed the pots, and he was having lunch prasadam. Then he was asking the devotee, I washed the pots, but where is Krishna? So he wants to see Krishna by 2 hours of washing pot. Patience, man, patience. So we have to have patience. So we cannot demand Krishna to come before us like that. Even if what is the last verse of śāśvataṁ? Ashlishava padaratam pinashtumam adarshanan marmahatam karotu va yatha tatha vidadhatu va vidadhatu lampato matprananathastu sa eva naparaha. So you are my Lord, whether you give me darshan or you adarshanan marmahatam karotu va. Whether you kill me by not appearing before me, doesn't matter. I will be your servant. You are my Lord, and nothing will change that. That is surrender. Not that, where is Krishna? I want Krishna. I did my part? Where is Krishna doing his part or not? We are nobody to question. In fact, for millions and trillions of lives, we have forgotten him and went against him, and now we want to demand that he comes before us in a moment. No. He will test our mettle. So, how to like higher tastes and realize reality of Krishna's infinite God perception? We cannot actually, okay, if you are understanding that you want to have the infinite perception of everything, you can't. Sorry, bad news. You can't have the infinite God-like perception of everything. No, you can never be able to do it. To an extent, Lord Brahma gets that. He knows everything that is happening in the universe. So does Yamaraj. And that's how he knows whatever we did, whatever past sinful activities we did, he knows everything. So to some extent, the Lord, gives that power to empowered entities like Brahma and some of the demigods and even Yamaraj and like that. That is even nothing compared to omniscience. Because omniscience means you have to be aware of everything that is happening in every single nook and corner of every single universe of the material world, and every single nook and corner of every single planet of Vaikuntha that is ever there, and every single living entity that is, there. The Lord knows the past, present, and future of all of them. We don't even, so that kind of perception we will never get. What we can become is, we can become a servant of Krishna. That's it. That is perfection. We can never have Krishna's God-like perception. We cannot have that. All right. And in fact, if you know too many things, mentally you can't handle it. You cannot process it. I'll tell you, there is a deficiency. It's called deficiency, ironically. Some people, very rarely, this is a condition, they remember everything in their life. Every small detail of every single day, they remember. And they're miserable. It is too much overload of information for them, and they just cannot forget. They have such exact memory of something that happened 20, 30 years ago without fading. It's too much for them, remembering every single detail. So you won't even be able to handle it even if you have. So, that's only our own life. And this life, not even the previous. Imagine knowing everybody's past, present, and future, and you can't even handle anything. You will explode, implode, I think. But Brahma and such empowered living entities are sometimes given that power. If someone asks us why I have to believe in Shastra, well, okay, so let's take in ordinary terms. Of course, there is this example that Prabhupada always gave that, you know, if we have to accept who our father is, if we have to know who our father is, we have to accept the word of our mother. That's the only way to know. Now you may say, oh no, DNA test we can take. Yes, but even that DNA test, you will have to narrow down to a few people who can be the possible father. And from where you will know that? To whom your mother was close with, even if it's not the person in front of you. So, from mother only we can understand. Okay. And none of us accepted our father based on DNA test. We accepted our father based on our mother. Okay. So, our real father, Krishna, is to be known from the mother Shastra. And why I have to believe Shastra? Well, just like great philosophers or scientists, if Einstein says something, we quote him. Or if some great philosopher says something, we quote him because he has said that. So similarly, Arjuna is saying because Narada and such great realized souls, they are completely realized. They are known to have. They are widely known all over the universe to have, attained a state of existence which is very, very superior to any of the demigods even. Such highly realized souls are accepting the words of Shastra. So who am I to reject? Krishna himself is saying, and great acharyas who are following such shastric injunctions, like for example, see Prabhupada, how perfect he was. And why he was perfect? Because he was following Shastra, he was following the order of his spiritual master, and he was, serving Krishna, and this is the perfection. Oh, the person is so perfect. That means anybody who's accepting this is so perfect. And Narad Muni and Asito, Devala, Vyāsaḥ, perfected beings. And they got perfection by this. So why I should not believe? These are the great professors of spiritual science, these acharyas. Uh, so we are not, and it is Bhagavad-gītā, and it is universally accepted that Krishna spoke these things, these verses. And Arjuna, this was a real conversation that happened. So why should I have to believe in Shastra? Well, Krishna is, first of all, that's the only way you have, and it is accepted by the greatest of acharyas who are not interested in any fiction. If this was just fiction, Shastra was just fiction, great acharyas who have perfected their life won't be able to do that, won't be interested in fiction. Because if it was just fiction, people wouldn't get that kind of elevation. They wouldn't have become so pure. But such pure souls are accepting this thing. That means it is bona fide. So we are accepting on authority of Krishna himself, his own words. The Vedasya sarve Vedanta krit Vedavideva chaham. He's saying, I am the compiler of Vedanta. And great acharyas are also accepting. And we can see their lives are pure. They are, so exalted work they have done. And you see, Prabhupada, no argument he can lose. So that is the position. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Baladev Vidyabhushan. Nobody can defeat them. Nobody. So that is the standard. We should accept. We are not accepting some cheap, some fanatical source. We are testing. Oh, this is the Shastra. He is following the Shastra and his life is so perfect. His arguments are so perfect. His life is so perfect. That means there is some power in the Shastra. If he can attain perfection, I can also attain perfection by this formula. So we should ask him, okay, how, what is, then the Guru will reveal. So that's why we have to believe in Shastra. Otherwise, what? We have no other way anyway. How do I know this really comes from God? I already answered it. That the acharyas are accepting it is coming from God. And people are getting results. So many people have gotten liberated in the past just by following this teachings of Bhagavad-gītā. So why can't I? Why should I not? And if we see logically, it makes so much sense. How a devotee gradually can wake up early to chant and attend the morning program. Well, why gradually? Just wake up. Just wake up early and chant and do the morning program, even in your house. It doesn't take much effort. Of course, it is inconvenient to wake up, but we just do it. It is much easier in the association of devotees, though, because then, um, even if I am unable to wake up, devotees will wake me up. You know, so association of devotees is actually the key to this. But even at home, we should always, just do it. Oh. Why didn't Lord Ram just explain the whole Maya Sita stuff? Well, Ram is not here to justify that he is right. He is here to teach us what to do. He may justify he is right, but then in the future, if people quote him and try to justify their actions by saying that Ram justified his actions, so I will also justify my actions. So he wanted to save us, and he did something which was hard, and he showed us that he's not attached, and thereby keeping a woman who he's so attached that even if she was with other man, he still accepted her. He can do without her, and he banished her, and for the sake of saving us, he said, I will do this. He gave up on his own attachment to save us. So Manu is asking, then someone will argue that because we're all replaceable by the Lord, then that means the Lord can act out all activities of conditioned souls in the universe under Maya, Lord under Maya. Well, that's not true. So his activities, first of all, he would never want to, he's not interested in replacing us in this material world. Okay. When I'm saying replaceable means in his mission. In his mission, everybody is replaceable. So he won't replace us. For what he will replace us? We are not in his. I mean, now we are trying to act on the mission of the Lord by accepting the order of Prabhupada. But the materialist, why would the Lord want to replace them? Everybody is replaceable. But whether the Lord wants to replace or not, when he is sufficiently upset with us, then he may replace us with someone or take us out of that. So he may tolerate to some extent of our misgivings, but we have to quickly rectify ourselves, not banking on the merciful nature of the Lord. Okay, the Lord will keep me. No, no, no. The Lord is not a fool. If we don't deserve it, the Lord will kick us out. So in his mission, everybody is replaceable. Uh, so the maintainers of the universal order, the demigods, or the acharyas, or even devotees, like we are trying to become devotees. Even we're all replaceable for him. Yeah, that is what I mean. And whoever is working under his mission, they are not in Maya. So the Lord can never be under Maya. Why didn't you give NOD classes in strengthening foundation series? Well, the COVID lockdown was over and everybody went back to their thing, so I did not have time to do every day. I was having everyday classes at the time for about 90 days, 93 days or something. I had continuously classes every day and we finished so many things. Now I can't do that because we have other. At that time, there was no other services. Just sit down and study and give class. Nothing much was going on. So Ananga Manjari Mataji is asking, is it alright to read books on various topics done by ISKCON devotees back to time till 2002 like that? Well, read Prabhupada's books. Have you finished Prabhupada's books? So if anybody comes with this question, you ask them if they've read Prabhupada's books first. On various topics means what? Like, what are they? Why don't we read Prabhupada's books first? It will take us a decade at least to finish them if we are seriously at it. And even then, we can always read again and again. So, read Prabhupada's books. That should be the focus. That would be my answer. Well, some physics made easy saying bogus claims by ISKCON. Tattvavit, answer me, the world wants to know. You want to know. Don't say the world wants to know. You ISKCON fraud, and if you guys fall, whatever. They don't follow the Guru Parampara. Oh yeah, actually we missed out that point in this whole thing. Yeah, good that this guy brought it up. Okay, Guru Parampara. In this, actually, I wanted to address that point also in this verse, which is that in the purport, Prabhupada mentions an important thing. You see, parampara. Let's see the word parampara. Where is the word parampara here? Wait a second. You see, here, if we want to understand Bhagavad-gītā, we should accept the statements in these two verses. This is called the parampara system, acceptance of the disciplic succession. You know what is disciplic succession? Parampara means to accept the way Arjuna accepted it. Sarvameta dhritam manye. And when we do that, then it is called punya shravana kirtanam, when we accept it in the same way. Original, not decomposed version of it. That is the parampara system. To accept that, Prabhupada said, parampara means to accept the disciplic conclusion, the knowledge. And parampara means not simply a physical person staying, before you. No. Guru means pure devotee. Nectar of Instruction, verse 1. These ISKCON Vadis, Guru Vadis, they say that, recently there was this argument where they said, oh, ISKCON Gurus are like the 13-year-old mothers. A 13-year-old mother, she is a girl herself. She needs attention from her mother. She needs the protection of her mother. And at the same time, she is a mother to a child. So, in other words, she is not a mature woman herself. She needs attention from her mother, and yet she is a mother. So, in the same way, the Gurus in ISKCON are also not pure by themselves. They need protection by Prabhupada. They need help from Prabhupada, and at the same time, they will be guru for others. Hello, this position is never, ever any acharya has ever said this in the past. They're inventing new philosophies just like that out of thin air. A person has to be a pure devotee. Dohar parikshan, guru lakshan, shishya lakshan, dohar parikshan. Okay, he has to be a pure devotee and he has to be ordered by his guru. Otherwise, he cannot become a guru. And evam parampara praptam evam rajarshayo viduhu sakaline hamata yogo nashtah parantapa yoga nashta. The knowledge of devotional service, when it is lost, then that's when the parampara is considered broken. If you see between Narottam Das Thakur and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, there is a gap of 200 years and there were 4 acharyas in between. But none of them were pure devotees. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's direct connection is with Narottam Das Thakur. So there is a big difference there. But still, in our disciplic succession, after Narottam Das Thakur, then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says he accepted, Narottam Das Thakur accepted Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as his servant. How he will accept? When 200 years ago he was already physically gone? How? Disciplic conclusion. In fact, our parampara is not strictly by diksha, by siksha. And especially in the matter of diksha, Prabhupada gave very clear instructions on the Ritvik system of initiations. There is nothing apasampradayik about it. Completely bona fide. There's nothing wrong with it. And even if they think, even if these Guruvadis think that there was something wrong or never it was done, for the sake of extending mercy, a Guru, a pure devotee, an Acharya like Prabhupada is above Vedic considerations. He is above Vedic literature. Go and read CC Madhya chapter 10 verse 136, 137 to 144, 145. You go and read. Okay, we have had our IS-77 book. We have done a position paper on this. Nobody can defeat that. And I will challenge anyone in the world to debate this. No one will be able to debate us. But you know what? I have done enough. I mean, I don't want to even waste time with these debates. If they are interested, let them study and let them be humble enough to accept these conclusions. Because they're just stupid, just stupid. Overtaken by pride and vanity. I want all when they are saying they are 13-year-old mothers, they also need protection from Prabhupada and they'll give protection to the others. Crap. Okay? That is what a Shiksha Guru is. Now, a person, and not all Shiksha Gurus, some Shiksha Gurus are pure devotees. Like Jiva Goswami was a Shiksha Guru, he never accepted disciples by Diksha, and he's a pure devotee. But others who are on the path elevating themselves, they can help others by telling them what they have learned so far. So that is okay. But to say that I am Diksha Guru and accept the Pranati mantra, Oh Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Preshthaya, very dear to Krishna, achieve the lotus feet of Vishnu, well, you're not there. If you're saying that you're a 13-year-old mother or you need protection from your own mother, then you're not there. That means you're not Vishnupadaya. Because if you're Vishnupadaya, you have no problem in bringing anybody to Vishnupada. But you're nowhere there. And Krishna Preshthaya, I don't think you're there. Because you say you're not. Because if you're a pure devotee, yes, we are Krishna Preshthaya, very dear to Krishna. Very dear to Krishna is not, oh, Krishna, all Vaishnavas are dear to Krishna. No. Not all Vaishnavas are as dear to Krishna as everybody else. No. There are grades of Vaishnavas. The pure devotees, yes, very dear to Krishna. Not all Vaishnavas. Okay? Other Vaishnavas, proportionately, they are dear to Krishna as much as their Vaishnavas. So, first qualification of Vaishnava is Trinadapi Sunichena. Not artificially accept the position of Guru without being authorized, without being qualified. Simply accept. Oh, out of service I have to do. This is my seva. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said preach. Yeah, you preach. Don't accept Guru worship, the Diksha Guru and all this nonsense. You preach. Nobody is asking you to stop that. Preach and be honest. Don't cheat people that you're saying that Namo Vishnupada and all this. You're not there. Don't accept these mantras. If you're a 13-year-old mother kind of person, when you need attention from, that means you're not a pure devotee. Let's be honest. And if you're not pure devotee, you cannot be a Diksha Guru. That's it, finish. One has to take the Guru from the highest. If we want to go back to Godhead. If we don't want to, that's another thing. Because the advancement that can be offered by a second class or third class Guru will not be sufficient in order for, sufficient to take us back to Godhead. So if you want to remain in this material world and not go back to Godhead, yeah, you can have second class Gurus, third class Gurus, you can have fifth class Gurus, rascals, who have done all sorts of criminal activities. You can have them as Gurus. But if you want to go back to Krishna, if that is your aim, then you have to take a pure devotee of Guru and somebody who is authorized by his Guru. Prabhupada said clearly, when you are authorized, then only you can become Guru. So here, Prabhupada actually explains very nicely in the purport that we should accept the Bhagavad-gītā as Arjuna has accepted it. That he is quoting the previous Acharya. So for us, Arjuna is the previous Acharya. So we should accept as Arjuna accepted his previous Acharya. We should also accept similarly. And for him, Krishna is the Guru. For us, Prabhupada is the Guru. So what Krishna said, he is accepting. Similarly, what Prabhupada said, we should accept. And all the other acharyas also saying, so it's acceptable. So this is parampara system. To accept the disciplic conclusion. Unless one is in disciplic succession, he cannot understand Bhagavad-gītā. It's not possible by a so-called academic education. So you see, this is parampara system. Because asito, devalo, vyāsaḥ, nāradas, they were not immediate gurus or something. Way in the past. But he accepted how they accepted it. And that's how he's also in the parampara. Of course, Krishna is also starting a parampara with Arjuna. But of course, it's not that he had disciples and now it is continuing. No. Vyasadeva recorded it and from his parampara we are getting. So either way, he has established the parampara again. And the teachings are going on. Whatever was taught to Arjuna is still going on to the current day. And that is the re-establishment of religious principles. Dharma samsthapanarthaya. That is what Krishna has done. Right? Can we wear printed shirts of Krishna or his name shirts? Because when we wash our shirt, we use brush on Lord photo while washing. Is it an aparad? Then in that case, every single molecule, andantarastha paramāṇu chayantarastham, every single molecule has the Lord. You are sweeping, you are stepping on floor, on earth, everywhere there is the Lord, in every single atom. How can you avoid? So we have chadar, right? We have chadar harina. Where we are washing them. There's no problem. So this is all. Krishna is everywhere, not only when his picture is there. He's everywhere. This guy is just rambling. You guys can't prove that ISKCON gurus are not pure devotees. Yeah, we can. They did all sorts of. If we bring out their criminal records, okay, don't make me bring out their criminal records. Okay, they did murders, homosexuality, I mean whatnot, and they themselves acknowledge that they're not pure devotees. They Why would Nimanita block me? Oh, because you were not worthy to speak to. I would also not listen to you because you're just arguing without any basis in fact. So anyway, I'm not going to actually. I'm not even going to react to this idiot. Yeah, I need proof. What proof you want, yeah? What proof you want? Read our IA-77 first. Initiations after 1977 PDF. IA-77. Go and read. We have enough proof. We have put out on so many videos. You go and watch. You haven't seen anything anyway. I have no time to waste with you. Okay. All right. So thank you very much, all of you who have attended. Um, Bhagavad-gītā की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद, हरे हरि बोल, हरे कृष्ण।